Yo guys, what's up? My name is Sid. I'm one half of Khatra, and right here is
I'm Thurhan James. I'm the other half of Khatra. I produce alone. I produce pop music, EDM, dance music, a lot of chill house music as well. But then, if I ever feel like making something else, I'll make something else.
I do the opposite actually. I make more heavy stuff. I make dubstep, trap, bass house, just anything under Sid that I'm messing with right now. And yeah, Thurhan inspired me to start a house alias with him, and we both share a big love for house music and like tech house and techno. So we wanted to start something, but also keep our ideas and traditions together at the same time, and that's how our baby project was born, called Khatra. Yeah.
You start because I want to know. I don't know this about you.
I
Yet.
started probably at the age of 14, I think. 14, I think, turning 15, something like that. I downloaded Virtual DJ and just messing around for my uncle's wedding, actually. He told me to make some mashups for some songs that he wanted. So then I was like, why not? Let's give it a go. So I tried, and he actually liked it. I ended up playing it at his wedding. And then after that, I just fell in love. So I kept doing it, and I wanted to find out more about production side. So I got into producing. So I downloaded a cracked version of Ableton. I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but downloaded a cracked version of Ableton and never looked back. Just kept at it every single day, probably for the last 5 years. 5 years, every single day. This hasn't been one day that I haven't not been on Ableton.
Oh, so you started DJing at 15.
Yeah.
But when did you start producing?
16.
So, not that bad. Okay, not that late then. Not bad. So I started DJing in 10th grade. I think I was 15 or 16 years old. Every day at school, at break, we used to go to this thing in our school called the lounge. And that's where our canteen was, the TV was, the speaker system was. So I would always have my iPad. And I'd always play music for the entire the four grades, the ninth, the 12th grade. And then eventually one person came up to me and she was like, my friend Neha, she was like, yo, you play music every day at the lounge, why everyone likes listening to your music, why don't you become a DJ? And I was like, well, damn. I'm like, that's a pretty good idea, right? So I was like to my mom, I was like, yo, I kind of want to become a DJ. And she's like, what the hell are you talking about? And I was like, I just want to try it out. Everyone likes listening to my music and stuff, or the music that I play on my own. So we went to Dubai, and I ended up getting my tractor controller for the first time. And I actually went home from Dubai, and then I started making mixes on that. I actually did start on virtual DJ. It's funny that you said that. I started on virtual DJ. I would download skins and all of that.
Yeah.
I'd make mixes on that. Then I started. I went to university, and I realized I'm like, you know what? Like I really like doing this music thing, but I kind of want to take it the next step, and I realized that I need to start producing music because I basically met one of my favorite DJs at the time, Blau, and I met him at a concert, and I kept talking to him about music, and then he's like, do you produce anything? And I was like, no. He's like, I would get on to that because he's like, your career will only go so far if you continue DJing. So I was like, okay. So then I downloaded Ableton, I bought it, and then I went to school, a music school in Amsterdam for a month. I did an intensive course with my teacher, DJ Alwin.
Shout out DJ Alwin.
Shout out DJ Alwin. He has some of his songs signed to Reveal Recording, which is Hardwell's label, Anjuna Deep, Armada. So he's a big time artist, and I learned a lot from him. So yeah, I went to Amsterdam in 2016. So I think I was 20 years old when I actually started producing music. But yeah, that's my origin story of the music.
I started listening to a lot of the heavier stuff. Like I used to listen to a lot of heavy metal as well, like Slayer and stuff like that. And then I moved on to I found this kind of similarity between heavy metal and dubstep. I don't know. which kind of really drew me towards it. It was like people like Excision and like Noisia and Skrillex and all these guys were just doing like ridiculous stuff that are unheard of. Like your grandparents would like listen to it and be like, "What is this? Like, what is this sure? Like, he kya lagaya hai bhai band karo." And yeah, and to this day, like my mom still says, "Like, kya sun rahe ho bhai?
Yeah.
Like, relax." And like, yeah, so Skrillex was definitely a big influence in my music journey, because he just took the sound to another level. Like, he brought it to the mainstream. There's a lot of underground artists that also elevated that dubstep underground scene, like Scream, Koki, all these guys from the UK. That's where dubstep usually originates from. And yeah, Skrillex just brought it to the mainstream, put his own spin on it, and made it. Apparently, I've heard he made Scary Monsters and Nice Sprites on one broken speaker. Yeah, in his warehouse that he was squatting in. So that's, just stuff like that inspires you.
I love that song.
Yeah, a lot of great music stories that inspire me, because a lot of these new and upcoming DJs, they go to these festivals to see their favorite people perform, and then in 3 years' time, they're the ones performing on that stage, and stuff like that just inspires you, because if you work hard enough, you can, do anything.
Yeah.
Basically.
No, I agree.
What about you?
My inspiration, man, I started actually listening to Skrillex in
2012 probably. That's when I started. 2011.
I mean, I listened to the level of Skrillex remix, but the first, the Bangarang EP, that one.
Yeah, it was 2012.
Wow, that was ridiculous. That one really got me into electronic music in general. So like, I have a few guys I used to listen to. Sound Remedy, his remix of Moondust was ridiculous, and that actually used to be my sports like anthem. If I wanted to get pumped up, I would always listen to Sound Remedy's remix of Moondust. Or Madion, he released two songs called Finale and Imperium, which are like
bangers.
Oh my god, I love those songs. And I was like, ever since then, I really got into it. And then I started listening to a lot of deep house. So my love for like dubstep and bass house really stuck with me. It's still there. But then I really started listening to like Oliver Heldens and Sean Frank. And yeah, I listened to Afrojack. Afrojack was my guy. I love him. Armin and Alesso Years, that was like the OG song.
Yeah.
Swedish House Mafia is number one for me. But yeah, ever since those guys, they released music and I really liked all of their stuff. But the main thing that got me, the main genre that got me into the whole love of everything is like Sean Frank, the back in time music, like Shades of Grey and Chocolate Puma, Space Sheep, I think it's called. But the old songs, that really got me into deep house, and then eventually I started listening. Then Kygo had to come up. Then I started liking Tropical House. Then Pity Biscuit came in. Then he started making this chill house music, and yeah, my taste in music developed. Like it developed in the sense where I consumed a lot more than just dubstep and deep house. But I consume everything now.
Yeah, it evolves. Like as you get older, I think you're more open to different kinds of sounds.
Yep.
Like
exactly.
when you're younger, you kind of have this one idea of what you like, and you stick to that until you find something else that tickles your fancy, and then you go for that.
Progressive house.
Yeah.
That's what started it for me. It's progressive house and dubstep, and then deep house.
Drum and bass was a big thing for me.
Oh yeah.
I love drum and bass. Drum and bass is insane. So all out of the UK, all the dope shit is out of the UK, bro. I swear.
Nice. Yes.
Yeah. This day and age, to be unique is probably one of the main things, because everyone sounds the same now. It's like either someone's trying to copy this person, someone's trying to copy that person. Someone's trying to steal this sound, someone's trying to steal that sound. So no one's trying to like basically create something new anymore. It's like everything seems kind of done already, So that's the challenge, I think, for lots of new artists coming up.
Yeah.
Just to sound different and unique.
100%.
And finding that sound takes a while. It takes like maybe it could take your whole life. It could take one night. It just depends on how hard you work and how you do it. Yeah.
Everyone is trying to be unique. Maybe I don't know. I won't speak for everybody, but I personally feel like as much as you try to be unique, you feel demotivated, let's just say, because as you release unique things, people aren't as adaptive as you would like them to be. Like, it took me a few years, let's just say, to switch from progressive house to dubstep to deep house to anything, right? So I feel like the whole demotivating factor in the aspect of being unique is the fact that people aren't going to listen to your stuff until other people start listening to your stuff. So to break that barrier on its own is quite difficult. And I feel like that's a demotivating factor. So you're like, oh man, this isn't working. Let me do what everyone else is doing. But then you don't have that unique aspect of what would help you stand out as an artist. And that's exactly what Sid's point was dead on, is as an artist individually, trying to be unique in the industry is probably the toughest thing in the world.
Especially nowadays, yeah, with all these resources available, like all these samples are there.
Yeah.
You can use these samples just to sound like one of your favorite producers. Like
Yeah. Like you look like people have reference tracks and they just make music under the reference tracks.
Which basically just copy paste the whole thing.
And you just copy the structure, and it's like fine, that to each their own, and that's how people do things. And but then again, like starting a new blank project, right, with just an idea is kind of like, okay, where do I take it from, and how do I be unique from that? So you're kind of putting added pressure onto yourself.
That's what's fun about it.
Yeah.
Like, literally starting from scratch is like not knowing where it's gonna go.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, what are you gonna do next? Like, you have no idea. There's no one to tell you like, oh, you do this, do that.
Yeah.
Start from scratch. You fuck up along the way.
See where it goes.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Good point. And then another point about being unique, transitioning into that, and then the point that I brought up about people not seeing it. There's so many people in this industry who are trying to be something and trying to get their music heard. That's another thing. Is it's like another difficulty is trying to get your music heard. Like, music it's not just about the music anymore. It's about your branding. It's about the business, right? So if you don't know the business and you just do music, people say that as long as your music is good, it's gonna get heard. It's very difficult because only your close group of friends, your social circle, are going to listen to the music that you release, right?
They're your friends. They're gonna support you no matter what.
But then 50% of those people, let's just say, aren't even gonna continue listening to the track. They're not gonna share it, right? So just breaking that little barrier, that let's just say the social proof barrier, with that song you've made, if it's unique or not, it's incredibly difficult. That's why artists need to have their branding on point. That's why artists use or create genres. People, they create genres because they enjoy making the genre, but another reason is people make that genre because that genre is already established, right? And people it's more easy listening for them, so it's helps provide like a kind of a foothold for you to build up your fan base in that little genre, and then you can become unique and do your own thing. Yeah.
The marketing and the music go hand in hand. In this age.
Yep.
Without marketing, you can have the best music, but it's not going to be heard. Like what Taran said, you need it to go hand in hand. Very important. Very important. Like you have to, you can't not be on social media, and then be make music. How are people going to hear it? Like you're not going to fax them.
Yeah.
I
would say it's like 50% of the work. Like 50% is your branding, your marketing, because again, like people use Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, all of that. Like if you release a song on Spotify, Apple Music, or whatever, nobody's gonna know unless you tell them. How are you gonna tell them, right? You can't fax them. And nobody uses fax anymore, right? So the best way to tell them is through your social media channels. Like, hey, I just released a song, go listen to it. People follow you for a reason, whether it's a lifestyle blog, maybe it's like because you have a good fashion sense. People will follow us because you're an artist and they want to know when you are releasing music. It's like a form of an email, let's just say.
It's how you stay in touch.
Yeah, it's like a real-time email. Like, okay, you find out what's happening. Everything is in one.
You build a community, exactly.
Building a community.
That's what it's about. That's the goal. That's the goal.
That's
That's
the
what
goal.
it is. Everyone just, openly enjoying themselves, like interacting with you.
Yeah.
You're interacting with them. Yeah. Actually had a great performance over here recently at District.
At demo room.
Demo room. Demo room also. But yeah, demo room. It was insane. It was crazy. Very professional. Crowd was insane.
Yeah.
Crowd was really insane. Yeah, apart from that, I've played one show where the next day, one of my big inspirations as well, Nina Kravitz, she played a show the next day on the same stage, and that was insane for me to see.
That's
because,
crazy.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That's really cool.
That was cool.
Yeah.
What else? I opened up for Claptone.
That's
Yeah.
a big move.
This is when I was living in Byron Bay, Australia.
Nice.
Yeah.
How was that for you?
In living
opening
in,
for him?
I was insane.
Was it like everything you dreamed of?
So it was it gives you a real sense of perspective, like where you are and where you want to be, so they're looking at him like that. I'm just the opener, but that's where I want to be, obviously, so it set a good goal in my mind that this is where I want to be in this amount of time. I'm still on that journey.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've played, apart from the house parties and stuff, those are fun back in the day. I've played at a festival in Ottawa. It's called ELE Festival. I played there for like I played for like an hour. Then I played the next day for like 2 hours. But then I moved back to Pakistan, and I started playing like these event shows and everything. Those are cool and stuff, but those are very curated sets to your audience. But I started playing at this festival. This festival finally came to Pakistan, and it was called Solace. And I was lucky enough to be able to play all 4 Solaces that came to Pakistan. So 2 in Islamabad, 1 in Lahore, and 1 in Karachi. I had the opening sets for Clean Bandit, Danik, who else? Zonderling, Mike Williams, Joe Goes, Chris Caden. Who else was there? FDVM, how could I forget them? Those were the main guys.
Pakistan loves FDVM.
Yeah, Pakistan loves FDVM. And then I actually, because of Solace, I actually got a lot of opportunities because I guess people started listening to my music, and then I started playing shows with Salt Arts. I played two sets. I think I played 2 sets for Salt Arts. One I was opening up for Somewhat Super, another Pakistani duo, and then I did an opening for FDVM as well. They were the headliners with Salt Arts. After that, I was supposed to play my biggest show in my entire life, which would have changed everything, man. At Ultra Abu Dhabi, which is Ultra Music Festival. It's like one of the biggest, I think it is.
One of the biggest, yeah.
Yeah, it's like the biggest music festival in the entire world, and they were moving into different cities and all that. And I was lucky enough to be put on the lineup for Ultra Abu Dhabi, but then unfortunately, like 2 days before I was supposed to fly out,
Sucks.
COVID hit them, and that was the first big event around the world to get cancelled. So,
Fuck COVID.
yeah, it was such a bad scene, man. I was so upset. But yeah.
Personally, for me, in a big positive way, yeah. I usually stay inside anyways and just make music. So this was it was basically I don't want to say holiday, like it's bad, but like it kind of was.
Yeah.
Like some people actually benefited from the pandemic by staying inside and just creating, but obviously the world did not. But yeah, for me at least, I actually had a great time. I was making a lot of music. At one point I was making like 1 song a day, like just belting them out. Practice makes perfect. So that's what I was just trying to perfect my craft.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still trying to do every day. Yeah, that's what
It was actually during the whole pandemic when Sid was in Australia that he was like, "Yo, let's get on a call." And I was like, "Sure." We get on a call, and he's like, "Man, we should make an alias." And I was like, "Yo, I'm down." And then literally like Khatra was made during the whole pandemic.
Yeah.
That was a really, really good thing that came out of the pandemic. I'm really happy.
Yeah, exactly. Our whole brand was created
during the pandemic.
Yeah.
But for me personally, I would say that it helped me. But then again, there were kind of some negative aspects to it. So I really, really like making happy music that is inspiring and that I'm inspired to make. Usually, a lot of that is I like movement in my life. And by movement, I mean like I like to be moving around. I like to travel a little bit. So usually, like when I'm traveling and I get like a lot of imagery, I'm seeing new things. I feel new, like very inspired. Like my brain feels stimulated when I see new things and I'm like moving around. So I'm like I feel really motivated to make stuff. But yeah, the pandemic was in. But on the other hand, the pandemic and staying in my room, 40 for however many days it was, I benefited because I was like, okay, time to sit your ass down and make some music. So I sat down every single day, like Sid said, and I probably finished like 10 to 12 songs, whether those be collaborations or singles. I finished them up to 75%, some 90%, some 100%. My most recent release, Chasing Serotonin, was made in 2 days during the pandemic, and you can hear if you hear the song, there's a lot of movement in the song. It's really bouncy and it's feel good. It kind of has a progression of emotion in it, and those are kind of the things where I'm like, oh, like let me take however I'm feeling and put it into a song. So let's just say I benefited from the whole pandemic, but my sense of creativity and my stimulation wasn't there as much because there wasn't a lot of movement. So yeah.
Yeah, different places inspire you.
Yeah.
Definitely. When you're sitting inside, you don't get as much inspiration.
Yeah.
But then you like during the pandemic, I'm sure you took walks and stuff outside. Like nothing. So I had to go for a walk every day.
But you can. Yeah, Australia.
That's true. I had to go for a walk. You have to get outside and get some physical exercise. Or just go to the gym or something.
Yeah.
Like any kind of inspiration. Like you can, obviously at the end of the day, when you're in your room for like
many hours.
like 18 hours, like you're gonna get sick of it eventually.
Yeah.
But like when you get outside, you just get rejuvenated. Your mind gets rejuvenated, and you come back for more. That's what it was like for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like I had fun in the pandemic. I'm not gonna lie. Well, it's I don't know how it's like for Tarhan. Do we have different processes?
Yeah.
For Khatra, we sat down and we planned out.
Yeah, because Khatra is a collaboration, right? So we both there's not a single genre we don't like. So we got together and we looked through a list of songs and we're like, okay, like this should go in. Okay, which way are we taking this set specifically? This is our first set. Like, for the set we're talking about is the Abyss Festival, and
happening on the 8th
and the 9th of May. It's probably happened by the time this comes out. I don't know. But yeah, we met up and we were like, okay, which way do we want to take the set? And we threw ideas back and forth at each other. And Sid was like, let's take this a very techno route. And I'm like, I'm down, right? Let's do it. Because again, we are a house alias. So we're not going to be confined to one subgenre of house music. So we're like, yeah, let's take it the techno route. And it worked out. But like, what about personally, like for your Sid sets, what do you do?
Personally, I stress out. That's my process. I stress and overthink until the end when I'm just like, fuck it.
Yeah.
I'm just someone said to me once, it's like, why are you stressing out so much? You just play music to people, like, and that stuck with me for a while. So now every time I'm just playing music for people, it's like,
That's
at
true.
the end of the day.
That's a very light way to put it.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah. My process is I look at the kind of show it is. So if it's a very closed, small 500 person show, and I know the kind of crowd that's coming, I will specially curate my show according to that crowd, but still play my own music in there that's relevant, that fits. But if I'm playing a festival, I really look at that hour and how I can capitalize on the energy. That's one thing that my teacher taught me. He's like, watch the energy, because you can't keep everyone on their toes the entire festival, the entire set, because then the artist playing after you is gonna have a very bad set because the crowd isn't gonna have any energy. Yeah. So yeah, it depends. To me, it's more like I look at the crowd, I look at the amount of people that are gonna be there, and I look at the kind of environment that it's gonna be. If it's a big festival, I'm gonna have high energy, feel good music, If it's a small 500 person show, 300 person show, it's gonna be very intimate, very deep sounding set.
So you make your sets based on crowd reactions and like
Basically,
based on the crowd. Whatever.
based on the crowd.
It depends on where you're playing. Like
Oh,
in
that
the
makes a
country. Like like if you're playing in
It's a bit different.
Pakistan,
It's so hard.
then you have to like maybe think about it
Yeah,
for a bit.
it's very
and then,
difficult. It's very
like,
difficult.
You obviously like you can if you live here and stuff like you just freestyle because you know the vibe.
Yeah.
You know the vibe. You know the crowd. It's the same like people that come and go who listen to the music, who come to the raves.
Mm-hmm.
So you know what to play. But
Yeah.
it depends on the crowd. It does over here in
Yeah.
Pakistan.
What's like the biggest difference you guys see with crowds like in like Australia or like Abu Dhabi or
Oh,
something, compared to Pakistan?
Crowds in Australia love to rage. Like they love to rage, and I love that. I thrive off that energy. Like literally, that's why I make music, and that's why I want to play it. It's because of crowds like that. It's, they make you wanna get in it. Like it's like there's a mosh pit happening. People are like losing teeth. There's people drinking beer out of shoes. Like it's
the
insane.
energy resonates with you.
The energy just leaves you inspired afterwards. That's what a show should be like. If it doesn't leave you inspired after the show, then you did it wrong.
Yep. I know what. I know what you mean.
You did it wrong. Like you need that energy to last for at least to get you through the next month. And motivate you, keep motivating you. You keep going back and thinking, watching videos, looking back. Like that's what I want. I want that reaction.
Yeah.
That's
To me, the difference between, let's just say, my show in Canada and the shows in Pakistan is like Canadians were very open to whatever I wanted to play. Like, whatever I wanted to play. So I literally didn't curate my set. I just put a playlist together and I was like, okay, let me see. Okay, this song fits. I'm going to play this now. This song fits. Okay, I'm going to mix it into that now. But like in Pakistan, it really depends. Like, what I've realized from festivals is that I can play around with a lot of the subgenres and they'll accept it.
You can get away with it.
You can get away. Like when I was playing Solus, I would start off really heavy and then I would transition into deep house, tech house, and then I would end it off with a lot of dance EDM music and people would really vibe and the energy would really carry out. But when you're playing a smaller set, and it's a very closed environment and not open air, people like to, what I've noticed from my experiences is that people like to hear kind of quiet, more deep sounding things. So yeah, the biggest difference is like people have their preferences in Pakistan, whereas in Canada people are very open.
And also that big gap in like music sense is because like there's not much of a scene over here.
Yeah.
Like 80% of people will listen to maybe like what comes on the radio and stuff like that, like pop music, maybe what's popular around the world. And then there's that only like 20% of people that just listen to like underground, the kind of stuff that people in Canada or Australia would be more open to listening to. So that difference, I think, plays a big role in people enjoying your music at a festival
100%.
or any show.
100%. Yeah, there's not a lot I feel like the music scene would develop if they were given the chance to develop. And it was happening for 2 good years. The scene was developing and I was actually excited to move back to Pakistan. I was like, yeah, I can actually move back here. And like the scene is developing so I can actually make something of myself.
Yeah.
But then boom, everything shut down. I was like, okay. So everything's back at standstill.
To be honest, I personally, I wouldn't do a lot of virtual festivals because it's just not the same thing. I find it kind of cheesy because everyone's doing it now. Like everyone on the sun, every DJ under the sun is it's just DJing in front of a camera now. That's the new norm. But that's the way it is. Like it is what it is. You can't help it.
Yeah.
That's how we're getting audiences now. Like there's no live shows. Well, that's slowly coming back, but
yeah. No, I know what you mean. When we recorded that set 2 weeks ago, it was a change. It wasn't a bad thing.
Yeah.
I still enjoyed it because we were playing music that we enjoyed and
exactly.
you and I were in the moment. But it was definitely different playing in front of nobody.
Yeah.
Rather than playing in front of thousands of people. So it is quite different because again, then at that point when you're playing online festivals or a set in front of a camera, the only energy you're depending on is your own. Whereas if you have a crowd in front of you, like Sid said, their energy resonates onto you and you feel more hyped and pumped to play a brilliant set and you look forward to the next set. maybe you go home, you're so inspired, you go home and make another song.
You take that energy back into the studio.
Yeah.
And you hit it out, one after the other, one after the other.
Yeah.
Yes, that's how you stay motivated.
It's different for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Like, Khatra, like the name, I was just sitting one night, and I was like, where do I want to take this sound? Like, right, I was actually making this disgusting banger, and it was very dark, and I don't know, it just felt kind of dangerous, cringy, but yeah, it felt kind of dangerous. So I was like, and I called Tarhan, I was like, why not? This is called Khatra, man.
I was like, hey, it's a solid name.
I'm feeling the vibes. Like, there was no draft, there was no other name.
Just boom, straight first one. I was like, oh, this is solid.
That's it.
And to me, I was like, hey man, it's a good name. Pakistani's gonna be like, oh, wow, dangerous. Who do you think they are?
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, but then we go abroad, they're gonna be like, oh, Khatra, cool, Khatra, that's a cool name. And I'm like, yeah, see.
Yeah, it's this project's more about not just staying in Pakistan. It's representing Pakistan.
Yeah, we're trying to represent
trying
Pakistan.
Put us on the map, because there's not many of us out there,
Who
Pakistanis
can make impact.
Yeah, I'm not saying we can, but hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully we can. But our goal is to make a big impact.
I'm still learning myself. Like, every day I learn something new. So I'm like, what any advice I would give is someone who's just starting out is just keep practicing, watch tutorials on YouTube. That's how I learned. Just don't give up. Like, that's kind of cheesy, but like, just stick to it. Practice makes perfect. Like that 10,000 hour rule.
Yeah.
Stay doing something for 10,000 hours until you become a master. So that's what my philosophy is, and that's what I do. Like, I'm learning new things every single day. Like, every day I'm watching some new video that's teaching me something new, something I didn't know before. Or I'm talking to my friends. Like, get online, make some friends, make some producer friends, start a community, just interact with each other, learn from each other, get feedback from different people. Like, your favorite art these days, all these big artists are having feedback streams on Twitch. So I've been sending a lot of my music to those guys, and they give you live feedback on it. Like, if they like the song, and they'll play it out. Like, I sent one track out to Flume's engineer Nadiri, and he really liked it, and he played my song out, which is crazy. It's just like that. Like, stuff like that will just inspire you to keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's so much online that you can just learn by yourself. You don't need a teacher. You don't need to go to a school. It's not that, just like, learn by yourself.
Yeah.
Learn by yourself. YouTube is your best friend.
Mm-hmm.
YouTube is your best friend.
Yeah, I agree. I like that. What I would say is work on your craft, work on your uniqueness, keep building at what you do, but also at the same time work on your brand, and don't forget about the branding, because it is a form of social proof, and when you have social proof, people follow. When one song gets a lot of streams, your other songs will draw a lot of attention, because they're going to be like, oh, okay, if that song has that many streams, then the other songs must be good, they're going to listen to other songs. So build your following, build a community, like Sid said, make friends, make artist friends. If you get to go to a show, I would do this, I would stay 2 hours later and wait for the artist to come out so I can meet him, so I can get his personal email, so that I could connect with him, send the song directly to him for feedback. I would, if I wasn't able to meet the artist at a show, I would go to their hotel. I would look at all the hotels in the vicinity and be like, okay, which one are they staying in? And I would go wait in the lobby till 6 o'clock in the morning with my USB in my hand and a notepad, so I could write down their emails and stuff. So just keep doing that. Don't work on your music, work on your craft, your ability to flow really well and to connect with people, but then also don't forget that branding and your marketing is necessary.
And there are some dark days,
There
very, very dark days where you just want to, why are you doing this? Don't get disheartened by those days.
Yeah, and take a day off if you feel
take
disheartened.
Take a break, come back. It doesn't even have to apply to producers. It just applies to creatives in general.
In general.
If you're stuck somewhere, take a break, come back, relax. Not the end of the world.
Yeah.
That's what I do a lot. I literally if I'm stuck somewhere, I hit writer's block. I'll take a week off, not even think about it. Just play card or something, and then come back a week later and my mind's fresh, and I finished the song just in that day only,
Yeah.
It just snaps with your fingers. It's just there, and then it goes. Also, there's this one community you should join if you're a producer. It's called Miracle Mangal. Shout out to Miracle Mangal.
Miracle
These boys
Mangal.
have created something
Crazy.
insane. Something that, for the first time in Pakistan, is now available online and everything. It's just a bunch of creatives, producers, visual artists, singers, songwriters, everyone just getting together, making some music. So follow Miracle Mangal, join the Discord, get involved.
Yeah, those guys are a brilliant group of young guys, man. And I got introduced to them because of Sid, and like I'm on every platform. I follow all of them. Like I talk to some of them. And
so let me tell you the story of how Miracle Mangal
Brilliant
actually
guys.
came together. So basically, this is all producers based in Pakistan only, but there's some in Islamabad, there's some in Lahore, some in Karachi, and all these guys have just been working their own way, and like behind the scenes, like they've been making music for young stunners and like Shimoon Ismail, and like just the Pakistan's artists, but no one's really heard about them. So my friend Wali, who started this collective,
He started it?
he started it.
Nice.
So I was sitting in Australia, and he invited me to join, and where all these guys were just there and just chilling, talking, hanging out, and then sharing their ideas and what they were doing. And so we just decided to call it Miracle Mangal and start a collective and do something different.
Yeah, we have a set for the Abyss Fest coming out either on the 8th or the 9th of May on their Twitch. Even if you can't join in and this podcast comes out after, you can go on their Twitch and watch our set, or you can go to our socials.
YouTube channel.
Yeah, you can go to our socials. It'll be on our YouTube channel. It'll be on our Instagrams, our Facebook, our Twitter, whatever you guys want. Just type in Khatra and you'll find out where the set is. We have a lot of music that we're working on that is being held on to because it's not the right time to release music right now. But slowly we're going to start rolling out a lot of music, signing some songs to an EP maybe, to a big label in Europe. Let's see if that works out. But yeah.
Yeah, we got new music coming out very soon.
Very soon.
Very soon.